Sunshine across most parts of the UK. They're always cloudier towards the north and the east. So Orkney and Shetland, a cloudy start to the day here, and then generally cloudy across northern parts of Scotland, but the rest of Scotland, plenty of sunshine to start the morning. Lots of sunshine across Northern Ireland as well, though you can see the cloudier skies across eastern England, thick enough for some light rain and drizzle, but western parts of England into Wales, lots of sunshine to start the day, and still quite breezy across southwest England, but the wind should hopefully ease here later on in the day. This cloud will be slow to lift and break in places, just like we've seen through the day today. It will generally stay cloudy here, but elsewhere there'll be plenty of sunshine, and the temperatures will again get to the mid to high 20s. Sunshine could be hazy at times, but overall another warm feeling day for many. On Monday, again, a cloudy start, but likely we'll see the cloud extend further eastwards. It should break as the day goes on to allow some bright or sunny spells. The risk of some showers, though, coming into the southwest. Some of these could be thundery at times, but generally dry across Northern Ireland and Scotland, and generally dry for most over the next few days too. That's all from me. See you again soon.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
What does it feel like to be a Great British Giveaway winner?
That's a big surprise.
Oh my God, I'm going to cry.
Do you know what? I've never won anything like this in my life.
Oh my God, this is amazing.
That is absolutely fantastic.
We're over the moon.
Yes, that is fantastic.
You know, you have no idea how much I needed it. Oh my goodness.
You've won £54,321.
Please don't joke. This would change my life.
Oh, thank you so much. I was gobsmacked. Thank you, GBNews.
I'd say don't hesitate, do it. If you're not in it, you've got no chance of winning it.
Thank you.
You weren't expecting to get that call today, were you?
No, I wasn't.
You really could be our next big winner. Head over to gbnews.com/win now to find out how and get your entry for the Great British Giveaway. Great prizes, even greater wins.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hello, good evening. It's 9 p.m. I'm Ben Leo. Tonight,
we must bring the cost of asylum down, and we have a manifesto pledge to bring the number of hotels down, to end the use of hotels, which we are driving hard at.
God, he's a barrel of laughs, isn't he? Labour pledged to end asylum hotels, but guess what? They're just dispersing migrants into residential homes instead, all across the country. Is this what Angela Rayner meant by every part of Britain taking its fair share? Now you pay rent, no rent?
No rent.
No council tax?
No, this is share house.
No gas?
No.
No electric?
No.
No water?
No.
And you get money for food?
Yes, weekly £40.
And as for that Afghan man, don't miss the moment he learns that an English single mother of 2 children were kicked out of their rented home to make way for 6 asylum seekers.
This is lying.
No, but the landlord kicked the children out.
No, this is
No, he did. He did.
Why?
But why? Because it's more money. Also tonight, what's the cure for Trump derangement syndrome?
I want the killing to stop. I'm in this to stop the killing. Last week, 7,011 people were lost, almost all soldiers.
Yes, the left lose their minds at a man who wants to save lives, make it make sense. Meanwhile, a propaganda campaign to insist Britain is a safe haven of morality, well, it falls on deaf ears because a former detective who literally hunted phone thieves as part of his job insists parts of the country, including London, have indeed become lawless. Also tonight, meet the 18-year-old reform counsellor who's admitted to losing friends because of her political beliefs. There she is on your screens now. Sienna Churcher says she wants the pride back of being British. Joining me on the panel this evening are the journalist and broadcaster Linda Jubilee, the former Met Police detective Peter Blexley, and the former Labour Special Advisor Paul Richards. And even the world's wildlife have an easy route across the channel. Hello, good evening to you. Thank you for your company. Welcome to Ben Leo Tonight. I've been on my travels today and I spoke with an Afghan asylum seeker being housed in Bolton.
The Home Office give money person weekly £40.
Is that the Aspen card?
Aspen card, £40 one person weekly.
So you get that?
Yes, but this is so little.
But you have free house?
Yeah.
But now you pay rent, no rent?
No rent.
No council tax?
No, this is share house.
No gas?
No.
No electric?
No.
No water?
No.
And you get money for food?
Yes, weekly £40.
Not bad, is it? Well, that chap there is one of 5 people who live in a so-called HMO, a house of multiple occupancy. HMOs are basically residential houses that have been carved up to make as many bedrooms as possible. And they're popping up all over Britain at a rapid pace because the government is moving asylum seekers from hotels into private homes, then taking a victory lap for it. The government's contracted Serco to manage these asylum HMOs, and in turn the company's been pumping out adverts like this one, appealing to landlords to give up their properties. Serco is promising landlords 5 years rent up front, often at massive rates, all with maintenance, repairs and utility bills paid for. And if your priority is money before country, it's a no-brainer for landlords. Serco says it's responsible for more than 30,000 asylum seekers across 7,000 properties in the UK. So when Angela Rayner said last year in June that every borough in this country would be taking its fair share of migrants, she wasn't lying, was she? Anyway, let's talk more about these HMOs. Here's one I saw today. They look like normal houses from the outside, but inside they home 6 or more migrants who all live together in what is pretty much a makeshift bedsit. And in Bolton, where I went this morning, the town has gone from 170 HMOs to more than 700 in just a few years. I'll say that again, from 170 to more than 700 in just a few years. The locals there say they've already taken their fair share, just like Angela Rayner demanded, but they're not happy. Government has basically taken them out of hotels and said, oh, look, we're solving the problem, but they're now ending up in your communities like this.
Yeah, I'm disgusted in it, to be honest.
What disgusts you about it?
Well, it's Everywhere you look, I'm seeing all these, and I know what, you know, I've seen them hanging about on the streets, I've seen them drinking cans when I got my pay for it, man. I've just seen half a dozen of them sat on the streets, drinking cans, you know, 8 and 9 o'clock in the morning. I said, that's what we are funding. Not
Yeah,
right.
billions of pounds.
Not right, is it?
Where should they go then? So if not in communities and if not hotels, which is where they've come from, where should they go?
I think they put them in tents in Greece or something like that, don't they?
People feel totally helpless to stop what's happening to their communities all across the country. This next guy I spoke to has lived in the road for decades, but told me he was too scared of abuse and reprisals from who he called do-gooders to go on camera with me and voice his concerns. So you fear that if your face is and name is identified, you'll get abuse from those kind of people?
Yeah, I do.
That's a sad state of affairs, isn't it?
It's terrible. But on illegal immigrants, they should be turned back straight away. They shouldn't even land here.
What do you make of Angela Rayner saying that every borough in the UK should take their fair share of illegal migrants?
Spread them about, that'd make it even worse.
Yeah.
We'd end up with every community in a state of uproar.
Well, I then spoke to a guy called Martin who'd lived in Bolton on a particular road for 40 years. He described how locals had been upset at the smell of cannabis wafting from certain HMOs and locals being kept up at night with noise. Bolton's gone from 170 HMOs to more than 700.
Yeah. Well, this one's come within the time frame. This building now, no one's moved in it yet, but it is finished.
So no one's living here. So let's have a quick step in. So each room, just explain HMOs. A normal residential house, which they renovate and divide up into, they squeeze rooms out of it basically,
That's right,
so they can cram more people in.
So there'll be a communal kitchen and a communal room, and then 6 rooms with their own shower and toilet.
So you can hear them through the walls at night. So they're watching, they've got tellies in their rooms.
Yeah, that's
You're trying to go to sleep at night and you can hear them.
Yeah.
And you say they're smoking.
Yeah, you can smell cannabis as well, which there's a cloud smoke.
So what's been done about it down here? Have you complained to the council? What's going on?
No one's doing anything about it at all.
So you're just victim to the what's going on?
Yeah. As Angela Rayner said, we've all got to take our fair share.
Would you know what they called that operation? Operation Scatter.
Yeah, and we're getting it.
Yeah. Why Bolton, though? Because other, say, areas of Surrey, there's no HMOs there, or affluent areas down south. Why Bolton?
Well, because they're not about the people up north.
I guess it's cheaper to house up here as well.
I would think so.
OK, so I was nosing around the road, knocking on doors, speaking to locals, and suddenly a car pulled over and the man inside beckoned me over to the window. It turned out to be a copper. Yeah, why not? You record, you got a body camera, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Yourself?
Very well. Enjoying your weekend?
I am. Who are you with?
GBNews. Who are you with?
Me? Greater Manchester Police.
Greater Manchester Police?
Yes.
You've been called down here, have you?
Pardon?
You've been called down?
No.
Say hello.
It's our area.
Oh, you do patrols?
Yeah.
Well, that's a first. We don't get that down south. Bobby's on the beat.
Welcome to the north.
That's good.
Right. Have a good day.
All right. See you later.
See you later.
Well, that's interesting, isn't it? For the first time in my life, or at least since I was a very small child, we've had a police car, unmarked, roll down, say hello to us and ask what we're up to. Definitely don't get that down south, and you just wonder whether somebody has alerted the police that we're here asking questions. Very strange. But yeah, a Bobby on the beat. Good to see, at least. OK, so that policeman seemed nice enough, but quite frankly, I don't believe for a second he was just patrolling the area. Somebody had obviously alerted the cops we were in the area and, God forbid, asking questions about HMOs and illegal migrants. And it's a shame, actually, the caller isn't as concerned about the rapidly changing identity of their country, but there we go. But if that wasn't weird enough, what happened at the end of my visit to Bolton today absolutely stunned me. I learned that a single mother of 2 children who used to live on the road I was visiting, she was an English lady with 2 English kids, she was kicked out of her rented terraced house after her landlord slapped her with a Section 21 no-fault eviction notice. Not long after she was forced to leave, builders arrived and began making changes to the 3-bedroom home that she lived in, such as installing fire doors and putting locks in every room. Council requirements for HMOs. Just after Christmas, a minibus pulled up outside the house and 6 men moved in. The Afghan man I spoke to earlier lived in the house, but he wasn't aware of an English family of 2 children who had been kicked out. so he and other migrants could move in. That was until I told him. And what happened next was that he was left visibly stunned and, quite frankly, couldn't believe Britain prioritised foreigners over English kids. In this example, an English lady and her 2 children were told to leave, and then the landlord, the person who owns the house, gets refugees in and more money. So English person is left with no house, and then we have
Children?
2 children, yeah.
No house?
No.
Why?
Because she lived in your house and the landlord kicked them out. So you and others could live.
I'm going to hear for children. No, this is not. This is lying.
No.
No.
Before you guys moved
No,
in.
no. You have 1, 2, 3, 4. You have 4, 3, or 1 home for rent. Yeah. You have 1 refugee person, and then you have 1 children. You give children this home or refugee. Yeah, of course you bury this children. This is lying.
No, but the landlord kicked the children out.
No, this is
No, he did.
Why?
But why? Because it's more money. Because, you know, Serco, the management company, they pay more money if you have refugees, asylum seekers. The government gives them lots of money, so the landlord makes more money by having you guys in there instead of the English lady with their kids. So that's why maybe sometimes you may experience British people being a bit upset. So it's not your fault, but it's the landlord and the government and Serco, you see?
I'm sorry.
No, it's not your fault. It's not your fault. You come here, you are escaping being killed, but that's maybe why sometimes you experience maybe British people are a bit cold, you know? Just one example.
Yeah, thank you. I'm so sorry. This is not good news. This is very bad news. I don't know.
So there we go. When even the illegal migrants are shocked at the way British people are treated in this country, well, you know we've got a problem. Well, let's get the thoughts of my panel now. The former Labour Special Advisor Paul Richards, the former Scotland Yard detective Peter Blexley, and the journalist and broadcaster Linda Jubilee. Good evening, panel. Peter, I'm gagging to start with you on this. What's your take?
Guess how many illegals came into the UK in the last 7 days on dinghies?
2,000.
158. 2,158.
Oh, really?
2,158. More people which will have to be housed initially in hotels and then in HMOs, exactly the type of premises which you've just visited and described. There you go. Reasons to be cheerful, eh?
Paul, Labour seems to be taking... Well, I'm not sure if the number of hotels have gone down yet, have they?
Well, we're trying to empty them out completely, but yeah.
Right, so, I mean, so my point is, you claim to be emptying hotels, but all you're doing is dispersing the migrants from centralised hotels into communities up and down the country, and quite frankly, people don't want them there. Well, so you're just moving the problem from one centralised area to another?
No, I think the dispersal policy is a better one than corralling people in these hotels. That's why the demonstrations have been so vociferous, because people don't want the hotels in their neighbourhoods.
Wrong.
I mean, well, they don't want they do not want the hotels in their neighbourhoods.
No, they should be in detention centres. That's where they should be, because they came here illegally, not being spread throughout the UK, thereby diluting this nation each and every day of the week.
People I would go after are the landlords. Now, with the Renters' Rights Bill will abolish the kind of thing, the phenomenon there where a landlord can boot somebody out to bump up the rent, which is what happened in this case. It reminds me of Peter Rackman in the 50s, who made a fortune off immigrants coming to Notting Hill, Nottingdale, and ripping them off. But this time...
Reminds me of Rishinara Alley,
and
actually.
now it's been done through Serco, and it's done through the state. So the system's broken. I would say also, though, we need to abolish those Section 21 ability to, you know, kick people out of their homes across the piece. Nothing to do with asylum seekers necessarily, but every renter should have some security in their home.
Linda, what do you make of the fact that an illegal Afghan migrant who's staying here at, you know, our pleasure is shocked at the way English kids and single mothers are treated?
Because
I've worked these, as I've said before, on an English language project, and there's an awful lot of naivety around there. But what I will say is that where this situation is concerned, there are very deep, profound problems, socio-economic problems, when you parachute in people of a different culture to that extent to an existing community which can't cope with those cultural changes. You've got vast expense to the taxpayer because, of course, they ultimately have to foot the bill to companies like Serco, or I think the other one is Clear Spring, and there's several others as well. And also, when you actually build a food chain that big, when you insert a middleman in there, you're creating security issues, because they very, very rarely tackle security issues that come up because they are less accountable. The government by then has washed its hands of this whole affair. I watched an interview only 2 weeks ago on another channel with an MP. The hotel was closed in her area, and the presenter said, of course, to preach to your point, where did they go? And she said, I don't know. That's the MP.
Paul, I think the lunatic left that you have your dinner parties with and you used to advise have no comprehension whatsoever of the tension, the anger and the tinderbox atmosphere that is out there on this great British nation. People have had enough. They want these boats stopped. They want these people either detained or turned back. They are desperate for a government that will do something. And yours, just like the previous lot, is manifestly failing.
But we do need faster processing. No one disagrees with that. But that gentleman there seems like a perfectly reasonable man. I wouldn't mind living next door to him.
He was a nice guy. He wanted to be a chef. He told me he wanted to work. He wasn't allowed to work because he's an asylum seeker. He wants to work in a year. But that's not the point.
No,
people in these streets...
But it does come down to local people. That's a real person.
Answer me this.
Yeah.
Bolton has gone from 170 HMOs to more than 700 in just a few years.
But Bolton,
why Bolton?
But Bolton is a place that's had immigration over decades. I mean, it's not a new phenomenon in Bolton. I've been to Bolton many times. It's full of people from all over the world.
And when those
for immigration, they've all made good. They've gone on with jobs. They've started businesses.
No,
Paul,
you know perfectly well.
You can't say all. That's utter nonsense, tripe, and manifestly untrue. Not everybody that's come to this country has contributed, is a tax-paying, law-abiding member of society.
Not everyone that was born here either.
No, indeed. But you said all, and that's not manifestly incorrect.
If we're talking about the people on the boats, the influx now that has come in to such huge numbers, Peter's just pointed out, over 2,100 this week. The fact of the matter is they're undocumented. We do not know exactly where they come from, exactly what they've been doing, and we have no idea who we are parachuting into local communities in this area.
We do know that some of them are awaiting trial for very serious offences, including murder.
Well, then
and that's a fact. Some are awaiting trial.
But they should be sent elsewhere, then, shouldn't they?
Yeah.
Should be sent back.
Sent where? Sent back.
The point is, we need faster processing, and we need to stop the trade in the first place. But at the moment, you've got to say to people, where are they going to put them? If you don't want them in the hotels, then put them into these houses.
Detention centres.
But I would go after the landlords. I don't think anyone should be profiteering out of this. And I said
but
the same about
making millions.
The hoteliers are making millions, and then these HMO landlords are making millions.
Oh, here we go. I can see another Labour phrase: smash the landlords. Just like you're not smashing the gangs.
Yeah, Peter, that's a good point. Do you think that we're going to move probably from lots of attention and protest on asylum hotels to these HMOs? Because in Bolton, at least, this is becoming a massive problem. And I suspect... I'll tell you... Of
course it is.
Just briefly on that, I'll tell you why they're going to Bolton, because housing is cheap. And they think... as the guy I spoke to there on that street, his name was Martin, he thinks Labour have absolute contempt for working people up north.
Look at the state of the UK, right? Britishness is being diluted as these people get parachuted into every community. Although, funnily enough, I've not heard about any migrant hotels in the Cotswolds.
No, that's true.
No, I haven't heard about a hotel full of migrants in Chipping Norton, and I haven't seen Samantha Cameron protesting outside one of those. But anyway, call me old-fashioned and cynical. Anyway, the nation is a tinderbox. Britishness is getting diluted. People are very unhappy about what's happening in their communities, and your government seems to be absolutely tone deaf to it. Well, be tone deaf at your cost.
Do you think the government understands what's going on in the country?
I think
Are they in touch with the...
I think the government is
Postal
absolutely dedicated to stopping this evil trade on bodies across the channel.
That's
and
not the same
and they are
thing.
trying to do everything in their,
That is not the same
in their
thing.
legal means to stop it. The assumption in a lot of this is that somehow the government is in favour of this, that they want all these people on small boats.
I don't think they're in
Well, what do you
favour of
expect people to think when the government does nothing to stop it?
Well,
that's an assumption people will take.
I think they are incapable of dealing with it. I think successive governments over a period of years, and this is not a new thing, this has been going on for 2 years. Where the Afghan evacuees are concerned, the government put in a deadline of August the 31st, 2023, where they all had to be out of the hotels. And they were. But where did they go? They all went into rented accommodation. That was 2023. And every year it gets worse, and every year no one tackles the issue.
The floor is yours, Paul. Tell me how your one-in, one-out policy's going.
Well, there's a pilot scheme, as you well know.
It's all yours. Go on, tell the nation. One in, one out. How's it going?
It's a pilot scheme, which, if it works, we can scale up and get far more people sent back. Right? We're already disrupting the gangs by taking their business model away from them. Don't
talk nonsense, Paul. You're on the telly. 2,158, mate. Please, have some dignity.
You've seen some of the boats being, the punctures of the boats, so they can't even sail.
One boat punctured by a Frenchman. Go on, keep going.
If you ever...
Go on, you keep digging that hole, mate.
And if you have a single simple answer to this, then any government would happily take your advice.
Well,
but what is it?
grow a pair. Grow a pair.
What's your solution?
Well, that's not an answer.
Grow a pair, right? Grow a pair and be lawfully audacious. Do you remember when David Blunkett told the Serious and Organised Crime Agency to be lawfully audacious?
Yeah, he was a great man.
Right? Yeah. Well, let's have some audaciousness from this government. Let's have some courage. Let's say to the EHCR, we don't care, we're not listening, we have to protect our nation. Your government's primary responsibility is to protect the citizens of this nation, and on that front, it is manifestly failing.
No disagreement. That is the first duty of government.
OK, Paul, and one thing, just before we move on, I will say, pointing me to a government who's tackling this, look at the United States. They've announced, again, for the third month running, 0 illegal migrants released into the...
I think Germany's...
What about Greece? What about Greece?
Germany?
Where their immigration and asylum minister has said no, and they're all in detention centres.
You get to a point where enough is enough. End of. The situation... someone has to think of an inventive, constructive, brave situation.
And where would
because it is a matter of national security.
Where would the camp be, Peter? Where would your camp be that you're going to put these people in? Would it be
Ex-army base.
Let me spend a bit of time with the MOD and I'll come up with some answers for you. I'm ready to start 8 o'clock on Monday.
Because when people say put them in the RAF base here or other, then the demos start outside the RAF.
OK, give me access to all the nation's facilities. I'll start 8 o'clock on Monday. In fact, I'll start tomorrow, and we'll crack on.
And also, we erected 5 or 6 Nightingale hospitals
That's what I was going to say.
very, very quickly.
Nightingale units could be used for a different purpose.
If you want a tinderbox, then put all those young men into a camp and, see what the tinderbox you get.
Well, but Paul, they're all in a hotel.
And the only people that hurt is themselves, and that'll have a lot less sympathy with me than it will do for the women who allegedly have been, one, murdered, and others very seriously raped, serious assaults, and those people are awaiting trial. And some, of course, have already been convicted. They're the victims. They're who my concerns are, not people stuck in an encampment.
Yeah. OK, we've got to move on. Let us know what you think at home. gbnews.com/your say. A Serco spokesman has told Ben Leo tonight Serco is in agreement with the Home Office stopping the acquisition of more accommodation for asylum seekers in Bolton. We take all appropriate steps to confirm the suitability of addresses and work closely with the local authorities who are directly involved in the selection of individual properties. Very good.
So they've moved on somewhere else now then, have they?
Quite,
That's
exactly.
exactly what that's saying.
Yeah, all right. Up next, we'll debate the biggest story of the week.
Many points were agreed to. There are just a very few that are left. Some are not that significant. One is probably the most significant.
All right, so Donald Trump couldn't agree a deal with Vladimir Putin, obviously, and to be honest, it wasn't expected in Alaska. But why are so many people on the left criticising him still? Can he win? Can he do nothing right? Is it just a case of Trump derangement syndrome? This is Ben Leo Tonight, only on GB News.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we are proud to stand for you, for the Britain you love, for the communities you live in. That's what makes us the fearless champions of Britain. Its voices and its values. Because we, at GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently. It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it? It's explosive. I mean, this is very good. It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial. And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born. It's everything you need to kickstart your evening. Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it. That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m.
Only on GB News.
Hello, welcome back to Ben Leo Tonight, only on GB News. Check out what Donald Trump said yesterday as he made his way to his meeting with Vladimir Putin.
I want the killing to stop. I'm in this to stop the killing. Last week, 7,011 people were lost, almost all soldiers. 36 people in a town which got hit by a missile.
But fast forward a few hours and the US president made this admission.
Many points were agreed to. There are just a very few that are left. Some are not that significant. One is probably the most significant.
So while President Trump said he did make progress in his bid to end the war in Ukraine, he didn't, of course, agree a deal with Putin. But I'm asking, what more was he meant to do? Are the people who thought the US president failed guilty of what I call, and many other people call, Trump derangement syndrome? We're joined now by Errol Moorcock, who's a spokesperson for Republicans Overseas UK, and Jim Kennedy, who's a former advisor to President Bill Clinton. Good evening to you both. Thank you for your company. Jim, I'll start with you as the former Clinton advisor. Has Trump failed in his bid to bring peace to Ukraine?
Well, it's too early to say he failed. I think those who say that are really looking at optics, and what really counts is the end result, so it's too soon to say. I do think there is legitimate concern about what happens ultimately, because there are isolationist voices close to the White House, and if he listens too much to those voices, we could end up with a bad result. But it is too early to say he failed.
So, Jim, can I ask, I mean, I assume you're of the left of the argument on political matters in the United States. Why are so many lefties kind of absolutely losing their minds over this deal, saying that Trump has failed, going mad, absolutely mental at the fact that Putin rode in the beast, the limousine, just all sorts of nonsense, saying that Caroline Leavitt, the White House spokesperson, was looking sort of sullen and ashy-eyed and so on. Just absolute nonsense on the likes of MSNBC and so on. What's going on with this kind of deranged reaction?
Well, it is somewhat deranged. I'm a moderate Democrat. I think there's about 5 of us left in the party, unfortunately. But they're really concentrating on the optics here. Although my old boss Hillary Clinton did say that if he succeeds in getting this agreement, she'll nominate him herself for a Nobel Peace Prize. So I liked what she said about that. Ultimately, the proof is in the pudding. The optics don't matter. The result does matter.
Yeah, no, I saw those Clinton comments. We've got some clips later on in the show. OK, Errol, let's have a chat with you. What's your take on what happened yesterday in Alaska? Was President Trump, was he outplayed by Putin, or are we going to see some progress once Zelensky gets to Washington on Monday?
Well, look, I think it was a positive step, and unless I'm entirely misreading the situation, you have 4 years of nobody talking in terms of the U.S. president and the Russian president. Now we're having any form of detente, I think is a positive. It seemed like a very well choreographed experience. There was no situation except maybe people were expecting perhaps a more bombastic press conference. That didn't happen. Some people said that worked in Putin's favor. And there's this weird sort of trope where the Americans have this kind of arrogant ideology where, oh, we're granting you an audience. You're getting this great honor to meet with us. I mean, that's not how Trump sees things. He'll sit down and he'll meet with anybody, even people who prior administration said, we'll never sit down and talk to them, people like Kim Jong-un. So the idea that they got together, had some handshakes, took some notes from each other, and are going to go back and talk to their respective parties. Trump has a little bit more people to talk to than President Putin, and hopefully go forward. I don't see any negative, and I can't possibly see any takeaway here that's negative that isn't really an extraordinary spin that sort of would be laughed off by any serious person, moderate or otherwise.
Errol, just quickly, what does it do for the state of politics and democracy in the United States when you have the Democrats, or a lot of them anyway, excluding Jim, who, as by his own admission, seems quite moderate, who really can't ever bring themselves to credit President Trump for anything? I remember him saying once, was it at the State of the Union address, he says, I could cure cancer and you guys sitting in front of me would find some way to critique me. What does that do for the state of democracy and politics in the United States?
Well, look, on one hand, I would say it's unhealthy. On this other hand, I would say that's what's driven people like myself from the University of California, Berkeley to the Republican Party, by encountering people who were not willing to interact with data, who were not willing to have discourse, who are not willing to have any sort of leeway on this single issue, started to create division. And all of a sudden, the pushback it made itself evident in the election, where we became the party of the working class, the party of the union voter, and the majority of the electorate. And that is the result of this. So yes, it's negative at first glance, but the American people aren't stupid, and the American people don't like to be sort of treated like children. And that's sort of the result of all of this, has been a stronger, more united Republican Party. So it's negative for the overall Democratic sentiment, for discourse, and for the quality of life in the country. But it has brought a lot of people over from the middle and from the left to our side of the common sense wing. And I guess maybe that's a positive in the long run.
Yeah, Jim, last word to you. When did you work for President Clinton as an advisor?
I was with him towards the end in the White House and also in his post-presidency in the early 2000s, so about 8 years.
What would he have done, do you think, in this situation with Putin, Russia, Ukraine? What would you have advised him?
Well, I think he would have gotten involved. He got involved in helping deal with the Balkans when he was president. He was very involved in the Middle East. He almost reached an agreement towards the end of his term, but the Palestinians got cold feet, unfortunately. So he was very much in favor of negotiating and doing it in person. And so I think he would be in favor of the concept of talking. I think ultimately, as I said, you know, what the contours of any agreement is ultimately what matters. But I think he is and would be supportive of talking.
Yeah, and just finally, Jim, I'll have to ask you, do you think Trump derangement syndrome is a real thing?
I think it's a real thing. I think it's a real problem for the party. I think the party has to get back to its own roots. I do think there is a shift in the working class towards the Republican Party. Those traditionally are Democratic voters. I think they can be won back with the right kind of leadership, sensible, moderate leadership. And so I think that's going to be the next midterms. I think we'll start to tell that tale.
Great stuff. Jim Kennedy, former advisor to President Bill Clinton, and Errol Moorcoach, who's a spokesperson for Republicans Overseas UK. Thank you both very much. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Right, now to the Great British Giveaway. Your chance to have your mortgage or rent paid for a year, plus a very tidy £5 in tax-free cash on top. Here's all the details you need to win.
We want to send some of those monthly financial stresses packing this August with your chance to be mortgage or rent-free for 12 whole months. We'll give you a cash lump sum that equals 12 of your monthly mortgage or rent payments, right up to an amazing £20,000. We'll also throw in an extra £5,000 on top of that for good measure, because why not? And if you don't have a mortgage or rent to pay, lucky you. We'll give you £15,000 tax-free cash instead. What are you waiting for? Lines will close on the 29th of August. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entry start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB15 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 29th of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
All right, very good luck to you. A quick email before we move on. Somebody has said, congratulations, Tom Harwood, on exposing the HMOs by this moronic government, as they say. I know I look similar to Tom Harwood. I'm not Tom Harwood. We differ drastically in political views, not least on trans views and so on. So thank you for your email, but I'm not Tom, I'm Ben. Anyway, coming up, a former Met Police detective has become a victim of lawless Britain. What's this propaganda about? Have you seen online about people insisting Britain is a safe haven of morality? There's no crime. London's completely safe. We'll get stuck into that next.
I hope we haven't forgotten anything.
Travel insurance, I tick that box.
Yeah, but remember what you forgot last year.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
The exceptional heat across Spain and Portugal is now starting to ease, with temperatures closer to average, but at this time of year that still means it's going to be pretty hot for many places, with a little bit of showery rain pushing through, otherwise lots of sunshine. More showery rain affecting parts of Italy, the high humidity here leading to some thundery downpours, a bit of a breeze affecting Sicily still, and also some blustery winds around the Greek islands. For many, into next week it's looking largely fine.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello there, welcome to your latest GB News weather forecast. It's remained quite cloudy across some eastern parts today. We'll see similar conditions into Sunday as well. Best of the sunshine across western areas, and high pressure generally dominates our weather pattern at the moment, so it is largely settled, though quite breezy, particularly across southwestern parts of the UK. This evening and overnight, a quiet end to Saturday. Lots of clear spells. There'll be some low cloud drifting back inland across some eastern areas as we head into the early hours. Thick enough for a bit of light rain and drizzle at times, but for most it's quiet. Temperatures generally in the range of 12 to 16 Celsius, so a little lower compared to recent nights. So on Sunday morning, plenty of sunshine across most parts of the UK. They're always cloudier towards the north and the east. So Orkney and Shetland, a cloudy start to the day here, and then generally cloudy across northern parts of Scotland, but the rest of Scotland, plenty of sunshine to start the morning. Lots of sunshine across Northern Ireland as well, though. You can see the cloudier skies across eastern England, thick enough for some light rain and drizzle, but western parts of England into Wales, lots of sunshine to start the day, and still quite breezy across southwest England, but the wind should hopefully ease here later on in the day. This cloud will be slow to lift and break in places, just like we've seen through the day today. It will generally stay cloudy here, but elsewhere there'll be plenty of sunshine, and the temperatures will again get to the mid to high 20s. Sunshine could be hazy at times, but overall another warm feeling day for many. On Monday, again, a cloudy start, but likely we'll see the cloud extend further eastwards. It should break as the day goes on to allow some bright or sunny spells. The risk of some showers, though, coming into the southwest. Some of these could be thundery at times, but generally dry across Northern Ireland and Scotland, and generally dry for most over the next few days too. That's all from me. See you again soon.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Ben Leo Tonight. Now, a former Scotland Yard detective, not Peter Blexley, has become a victim of lawless Britain. His name is David McKelvey, and he once led a squad of officers fighting organised crime all across London. But he's now revealed he fought off a masked phone thief in the capital himself. Over 100,000 phones were stolen in London alone in the past year. That's one every 5 minutes. And Mr McKelvey says he's had enough of what he called modern-day highwaymen running the streets. Well, I'm joined now by David himself. David, good evening. Thank you for joining me. Pretty ironic, isn't it? You spend years and years literally chasing these phone thieves all across London, and then you're a victim yourself. Just tell us what happened, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I didn't fight him off. I didn't really have much chance, to be honest, Ben. I was walking down the street. I took a phone call, actually from a victim of crime. And literally, as I put the phone to my ear, I was on the pavement, and this electric bike came up behind me. He grabbed the phone. Fortunately, I was quite aware, and I held on to it. And then he was off down the pavement and onto the road and away. But he'd done one literally 5 minutes before, dressed all in black, electric bike. And as I say, they ride around almost, stealing from anything and anybody who's got a phone in their hands, effectively.
So how did you feel then, being a victim of crime, finally having chased these people for all these years? I mean, did it shock you? Were you left stunned? What were you thinking in the seconds after that happened?
It doesn't shock me, Ben, because we my local bobby, the company I run, we deal with phone thefts every single day. It's continuous. Members of the public coming up and reporting them to us. We then take them to the police station or report them to the police, and our bobbies are catching phone thieves literally 2 or 3 a week at the present time. So it doesn't shock me. It's literally lawless at times.
Who are they, do you reckon? Are they mostly kids, sort of young teenagers? What's the sort of profile of the phone thieves particularly?
Gangs. I mean, they're gang members. There's groups of them. We see them all the time. They're quite obvious. They're riding around the streets. They're all dressed in black. They've got masks on. They're on electric bikes. They stand out like a sore thumb. The reality is they should be stopped. They should be searched. The bikes are, motor vehicles, and they should be seized from them, taken off them. I don't understand why policing's not being more robust about this.
Can I ask you, please, David, about this? I describe it as propaganda. We've had this conversation online and on the news over the past week or two about levels of crime, how safe is Britain lawless? And there seems to be this coordinated response, particularly from people on the left, saying, you guys are mad. This is some right-wing fantasy of lawless Britain. London, particularly, is fine. People making videos of themselves eating lunch in their very posh London neighbourhoods, saying everything's fine, it's safe. Is there some sort of concerted effort to kind of gaslight people into believing that, let's talk about London, that London is absolutely fine?
They need to come out. I'm more than happy to take them out any day of the week with our bobbies, and they can see for themselves what's really going on. The reality is that it has got progressively worse. As policing has retreated from the streets, you are seeing more and more lawlessness. You're not getting crimes reported. Shoplifting is massively underreported. Fraud's massively underreported. People do report their phones stolen because clearly they claim off the insurance. But the reality of this is things are becoming more violent, and it's an utter nonsense for anyone to say otherwise. That's a fact.
OK, I'm going to bring in Peter Blexley, also a former Scotland Yard detective. Maybe you know, maybe you don't, former colleague anyway. Peter.
David, I've always got a warm greeting for your bobbies when I see them, particularly around Leicester Square and the such like. And I know that they're interacting with the Metropolitan Police on a daily basis. What's your take on how the Metropolitan Police is performing in London today?
Peter, you know, I think you think the same way as I do. Policing is in crisis. You know, you've got a recruitment problem, a retention problem. You're losing experienced people. I mean, I talk to police officers day in, day out. You know, they live in fear of getting complaints. They won't stop and search people. They won't arrest people. You know, and you feel sorry for them because they are run ragged, literally run ragged. You call them, you know, sometimes they'll turn up. Most times they won't. It depends on where you are, and it depends on the teams that are involved as well. But as you've seen, you know, the Commissioner's come forward and said he's going to put 80 more policemen into the West End, and apparently the flying squad, which is quite a surprise. But, you know, that highlights the level at which crime is now taking place in London.
OK, David, thanks very much for your time. Did you get your phone back, or did the guy get caught?
He never got my phone.
Oh, you never got it? Oh, sorry, you kept hold of it, didn't you? Well done. Sadly, most people don't have your grip strength, so they end up losing their phones. And yeah, but glad to hear you're OK anyway, David. Thanks very much for your company tonight.
No problem. Thank you.
And just as an addition to that, very quickly, Katie Bourne, the Sussex Police and Crime Commissioner, told the Daily Telegraph today that there's no point arresting shoplifters because the courts just set them free. So that's the kind of path we're going down now. Anyway, stick with us on Ben Leo's tonight. We'll be back in just a tick with more news, including all the front pages coming up after the 10 o'clock hour. And in just a few minutes, great guest, 18-year-old woman, a Reform UK councillor, one of the youngest councillors in the country, who says she's lost her friends because of her political beliefs. She's next.
Welcome back to Britain's Newsroom with Andrew and Beth.
Hello everyone, Patrick Christie is here.
I'm Michelle Jude, Britain's News Channel.
Access the stories that matter to you. Take the GB News family with you on any device. And as long as you have an internet connection, tune in to GB News anywhere on the planet or beyond. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's News Channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's News Channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's political podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's political podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's News Channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's News Channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hello, welcome back to Ben Leo Tonight. Now, great story coming up. An 18-year-old A-level student says some of her friends won't talk to her anymore because she's a Reform UK councillor. Sienna Churcher was elected to Barrow Town Council in May, and she's one of the youngest councillors in the UK, and I'm delighted to say she joins me now on Ben Leo Tonight. Sienna, welcome along.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for your company. I've included the gang here as well, the panel. Just tell me, please, your friends, how many friends stopped speaking to you? Why, and how did it make you feel? I just find it astonishing.
I had a group of friends in college, and I've not heard anything from them since.
So how long's that been? What's a year?
No, I'm still in college now, studying A-levels, and they just haven't spoken to me since I told them that I'm standing for reform, so a few months now.
So not even since you won, it was since you told them you were simply standing to be a councillor.
Exactly.
And you're, of course, one of the youngest councillors in the UK now. So no text from your college pals saying, well done, Sienna, great job?
Not one.
No. Do you think it must be to do with your political beliefs, no?
Yes.
Yeah.
They're very much Labour.
What do you think of those people? Are they friends, really, if they treat you like that?
No, not at all. At the end of the day, I knew they believed in Labour, and I didn't have a problem with that. They've got, they're entitled to their own opinion. So why do they have a problem with me? Yeah,
you can accept their political beliefs, you've got no problem with it, it's not that deep, and you keep your friendship. Why reform them? Because it is quite rare for, say, without trying to patronise you, but the sort of stereotype is that you start in politics as a youngster, maybe you're a bit of a commie, Paul, and then as you grow older and you have a family and you have things to conserve, you maybe become a bit more right-wing. How did you get involved in reform so young?
Well, it originally started with my grandfather. He has followed Nigel Farage all the way from the start, and he introduced me to politics. So I started listening to him, and as I studied politics at A-levels, I read upon the history of political parties. Conservatives don't seem to do anything. Labour seems to just avoid and do U-turns, and Reform is the only one that is standing up for the working class and for us.
What do you make of that, Paul? A young girl, a very bright girl like Sienna, getting involved in politics and having that assessment of Labour?
I think it's really great that young people get involved in politics across all the different political parties. Those friends, so-called, that deserted you are not really your friends. And what you'll discover as you go through your career in politics, and I advise you to stick with it, by the way, is that you could be on friendly terms with people, you can have banter, you can have conversations, even proper friendships and relationships with people who agree and disagree with you on all kinds of issues. And that's the true strength of it. You be true to yourself, and that becomes something people are attracted to. But I've got friends who are Conservatives, who are Liberals, who are Greens,
but I think that
and all the rest,
I think that comes with age and with experience. And how old are you? Do you mind?
I'm 18.
18. So I think that 18-year-olds, the trouble is these friendships haven't really evolved, and they're very linear. They are very black and white. Just tell me, you're at college at the moment,
yes,
you said?
That's right.
And are they in your class at college?
Yes.
And so you literally go into the classroom and those friends won't acknowledge you in the classroom. I mean, that is extraordinary.
That's awful.
That's really bad. Why aren't the college authorities or the teacher or anyone else calling that sort of behaviour out? Because it's appalling.
Does it upset you?
No.
No. Just water off
Well, good for you.
Yeah, well done you. Well, Sienna, lots of viewers are watching you now. They're writing in as we speak. Lisa said, well done, Sienna. Proud of you. Rod Lay has said, Sienna, well done to you. Mike said, not surprised she's lost friends. She's one of the few that have escaped the state indoctrination system that is the education system. Keep doing what you're doing, Sienna. Stay true to your beliefs. And Wendy said, well done to that young lady. What a fabulous achievement to become a councillor aged 18. Very quickly, you've got 20 seconds. What's your political ambitions? What is in the future? Do you want to stay in politics?
Yes, absolutely. I want to pursue a career in politics. I want to represent everyone from my town, the hard-working people, and they deserve to be acknowledged and supported by this government.
So, yeah, no, well done. Thank you for coming in. Really appreciate it. And good luck to you, and our viewers love you. Right, coming up, the first of tomorrow's newspaper front pages, including even more problems for the BBC. Surprise, surprise. Back in just a tick on Ben Leo tonight. Now, let's get your weather.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello there, welcome to your latest GB News weather forecast. It's remained quite cloudy across some eastern parts today. We'll see similar conditions into Sunday as well. Best of the sunshine across western areas, and high pressure generally dominates our weather pattern at the moment, so it is largely settled, though quite breezy, particularly across southwestern parts of the UK. This evening and overnight, a quiet end to Saturday. Lots of clear spells. There'll be some low cloud drifting back inland across some eastern areas as we head into the early hours. Thick enough for a bit of light rain and drizzle at times, but for most it's quiet. Temperatures generally in the range of 12 to 16 Celsius, so a little lower compared to recent nights. So on Sunday morning, plenty of sunshine across most parts of the UK. They're always cloudier towards the north and the east. So Orkney and Shetland, a cloudy start to the day here, and then generally cloudy across northern parts of Scotland, but the rest of Scotland, plenty of sunshine to start the morning. Lots of sunshine across Northern Ireland as well, though you can see the cloudier skies across eastern England, thick enough for some light rain and drizzle, but western parts of England into Wales, lots of sunshine to start the day, and still quite breezy across southwest England, but the wind should hopefully ease here later on in the day. This cloud will be slow to lift and break in places, just like we've seen through the day today. It will generally stay cloudy here, but elsewhere there'll be plenty of sunshine, and the temperatures will again get to the mid to high 20s. Sunshine could be hazy at times, but overall another warm feeling day for many. On Monday, again, a cloudy start, but likely we'll see the cloud extend further eastwards. It should break as the day goes on to allow some bright or sunny spells. The risk of some showers, though, coming into the southwest. Some of these could be thundery at times, but generally dry across Northern Ireland and Scotland, and generally dry for most over the next few days too. That's all from me. See you again soon.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
There's just 2 weeks left to see how you can win your mortgage or rent paid for a whole year. That's a cash lump sum equivalent to 12 of your monthly mortgage or rent payments, right up to a whopping £20,000. Plus, we'll add an extra £5,000 on top for good measure. Make sure you don't miss out as lines close on the 29th of August. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entry start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB15 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 29th of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk
No,
now?
that's it. This is where it matters. Real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Dubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel. Westminster, the ultimate clique.
And you're fighting like rats in a sack.
But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
It's 10 p.m. I'm Ben Leo, and breaking tonight.
Many points were agreed to. There are just a very few that are left. Some are not that significant. One is probably the most significant.
Well, potentially more Trump derangement syndrome coming the president's way, as the Daily Telegraph, the Sunday Telegraph tomorrow, reports he is going to accept Vladimir Putin's land grab as part of those Ukraine peace talks. We'll bring you all the updates on those negotiations through the night, so stick with us for all the latest breaking news. Back here in the UK, it's Nigel Farage against Angela Rayner. Again, this time, Labour's Deputy PM says the Reform UK leader has failed a generation of young women by scrapping online safety laws. They just don't learn, Labour, do they? Well, it comes after a minister said Mr Farage would have facilitated Jimmy Savile, of course, if he was still alive. Elsewhere, a shocking free speech row in tomorrow's Sunday Telegraph. Police, get this, used Orwellian powers to gag a firefighter and prevent him revealing that he'd been arrested after posting online messages criticising his fire bosses. I'll bring you all the details. And another week, another set of embarrassment for the BBC as police are called in to investigate Strictly Come Dancing. It comes after claims that 2 of its stars used the Class A drug cocaine, and of course it follows just a few days after the full lineup of this year's celebrities was announced. Joining me on the panel, journalist and broadcaster Linda Jubilee, the former Met Police detective Peter Blexley, and the former Labour Special Advisor Paul Richards. And even the world's wildlife have an easy time crossing the channel. Welcome to Ben Leo Tonight. It's 10 o'clock and the first of tomorrow's newspapers have just dropped, starting with the Mail on Sunday. The headline reads, Zelensky trapped in Trump and Putin vice, Europe powerless, as Ukraine's president is summoned to the White House and fears that he'll be forced to hand over swathes of his homeland for fragile peace. The Independent runs with the same vibe. Putin spells out his conditions for ending the war in Ukraine, and a picture there of anti-racism demonstrators outside an asylum hotel in Falkirk in Scotland. The Sunday Express, the world's in grave danger if the West caves in to Putin. And a picture there of the last remaining Victoria Cross hero from World War II, who sadly died today, aged 105. Rest in peace, sir. The Sun on Sunday. The BBC called in cops in Strictly Probe. This follows, of course, the cocaine investigation from a few weeks ago. And at the top of the Sun here, exclusive, Putin's price of peace. No NATO, no EU for Ukraine. Apparently those are Vladimir Putin's demands. The Sunday Mirror. Stephen Kinnock, time to scrap the 2-child benefit cap. He calls for a levy on the top 1% to lift 600,000 kids out of poverty. And the Sunday Telegraph, a flurry of great stories here, including Trump supports Putin's land grab. This is breaking tonight. The US president offers security guarantee to Ukraine in return for surrender of Donetsk. And Labour opens the door to more LTNs in a renewed war on motorists. LTNs, of course, are low traffic neighbourhoods. I think they're pretty Orwellian. And just one more very quickly. Angela Rayner on the right-hand side there, if you're watching on telly. Angela Rayner accuses Nigel Farage of failing women over revenge porn. This again goes back to the Online Safety Act. I mean, we'll discuss that very shortly, but did Labour not learn? Just stop it with the Niger attacks. Savile, Putin apologists, goodness me. Right, welcome back to the panel. Linda Jubilee, Paul Richards, Peter Bleksley. Should we talk about the one big story of the evening? Paul, which is the Sunday Telegraph. Donald Trump, President Trump in America, apparently supports Putin's conditions for peace.
Well, I think what the last 48 hours have proved beyond all doubt is that Donald Trump is completely out of his depth on this world stage. You know, he has made a massive propaganda coup and handed it to Putin. And if this is true in the Telegraph, that Trump supports Putin's land grab, none of us is safe. Estonia is not safe, Moldova is not safe, Western Europe is not safe. Because if you're saying to those that invade and are, aggressive warmongers like Putin, that you can get away with it and that the US will allow it to happen and turn a blind eye, possibly even welcome it, then the rest of us are going to be in a lot of trouble.
So what is the solution? Because apparently, Paul, as far as I understand it, Russia controls 75% of Donetsk anyway, and by summer next year, analysts predict they'll take the region in full. So what is the solution?
Well, the solution is the defeat of Putin and us arming the Ukrainians so they can repel the invader and get their children back, by the way, because Putin has taken tens of thousands of kids and taken them to Russia. So get those hostages home too. And Putin is put back in his box. That's how you get peace.
The fact of the matter is, you've had one commentator on tonight, Ben, who said that it was far too early to assess the situation right now. Now, the fact of the matter is, and I did say this in the week, Trump, as he's always telling us, is a businessman. He does deals. It is very, very unlikely that any politician could have got to this point. However, that doesn't mean to say he is successful. At the end of the day, you need to see that the optics are very separate from the reality of the situation. I admit the optics of this situation are not good, but that's different from actual negotiations. Now, Zelensky may be threatened, but that doesn't mean to say he has to give in. He could easily dig his heels in, depending on what America does in terms of supporting him with weapons components and intel. If America supports Zelensky, this will go on even further. And the kind of negotiations you're talking about are a long way off. I guarantee you.
Peter, the Mail on Sunday says that Ukraine's future as a sovereign nation is hanging in the balance tonight.
My solution is quite a simple one, but then I'm a simple soul. I get Mr Zelensky, pen, piece of paper, sign there, you're in NATO.
People like Paul were saying you're surrendering to a dictator.
No, Zelensky, sign there, you're in NATO, right? And then, within weeks, we smash Putin and his pathetic army all the way back to Moscow. Job done.
So you say continue the fight?
No, I say put him in NATO. And then we as a collective, Europe as a collective...
But that is the reason why Putin invaded, was the encroachment in NATO.
So you'd like a world war?
It won't be a world war because...
Well, if Ukraine joined NATO and NATO attacks Russia, I'm sorry, that's a world war. You've got China getting involved, Iran will get involved, North Korea...
No. That's the cowardly kind of words that came out of Boris Johnson's mealy mouth. Well, that's utter nonsense. Call his bluff. Have some balls, put an army there and smash them back out of sovereign territory.
Absolutely.
Once a KGB officer, always a KGB.
Yeah. And if he gets killed in a foray, so what?
He won't.
Oh, don't be daft. We can stick a nuke on his bonds.
He won't.
Well,
but the point being, though, that he understands force. You know, Trump's trying to play him, think he's...
It's his only language.
He is being played... Trump is being played like a violin. Putin is outwitting him at every turn, and the only thing he understands is force, right?
A demagogue like Putin, yeah, absolutely right. So, that's all he understands.
Exactly that. So I think the idea that if you give him territory as part of a peace deal, he'll only come back for more, like every dictator
ever. That won't happen yet.
I wouldn't want to be Polish.
No.
Well, look, I've just spent a week
like being English. I mean, you know, the war's going to have to be fought in the Baltics, isn't it? With British troops, by the way, who are on the Estonian border right now.
Oh, Paul, I mean, look, I've just spent a week in a holiday resort with a bunch of Russians, so I'm feeling right now more than ever that I would love to see Ukraine win this war, but the fact of the matter is...
They don't queue up, do they?
Oh, I mean, it's a whole other conversation, but goodness me, I mean, they are...
Yeah, but they've done a remarkable job. I have to say they have done a remarkable job. They are now world leaders in weaponising... The Ukrainian army is the world leader in weaponising drones. End of.
Yeah. Okay.
Get them in NATO. Let's smash the Russians back to Moscow. Job done.
Yeah. So just finally, Paul, before we move on, you'd be happy for British boots in the ground on the ground?
No,
in
what
the
I'm
Balkans?
saying is, unless they are repelled, if they get rewarded for their aggression, then that's where we will end up. Because every time you appease a dictator like this, you end up having to fight the war that's down the line. If you get them out of Russia, out of Ukraine, back to the border, and their aggression is not in any way rewarded, as Trump seems to be wanting to do, then you avoid that kind of war that we're talking about. Simple as that.
OK, and how's, just finally, how's Starmer appearing in all this from a Labour perspective? Is he still sort of the international man of...
Well, I think he recognises that we need to rearm Europe. He's diverted resources away from international aid into the defence industry. Maybe not enough, and I would argue you need to double the size of the army and put 5%, 6% in, not just 3%. But he is trying to lead those efforts.
That's Can I just say that 5%, 6% is an absolute... Not that I disagree with it. That's a colossal figure, which at the moment we don't have a hope in hell of paying for.
Yeah, and also you've had 50,000 small boat migrants come into this country since Labour took power. What's the personnel of the British Army? Something like 90,000, so you're not far off having... the British Army is about to be dwarfed by small boat migrants.
Out.
Anyway, let's move on. The Sunday Telegraph. Paul, another one for you, I'm afraid. Angela Rayner. Angela Rayner accuses Nigel Farage of failing women over revenge porn. This is another attack on Farage over his stance on the Online Safety Act. Why don't they just put a sock in it? What is Labour's problem?
I mean, I think there's a legitimate argument around the Online Safety Act, and we've had it across this panel, actually, in previous weeks, and, the law needs to work and be relevant. If I was advising them at this stage, I don't think I would keep dredging up Jimmy Savile and sort of these kind of very personal attacks around this. I'm not sure it's very effective, to be honest, but I do think we need a decent bit of law that will stop the internet being the Wild West and allowing anyone to do what's
far more stringent than it is now.
But I think, like I say, I find it a bit distasteful, this kind of dredging up of Savile.
It's another own goal from this pathetic Labour government. The more they attack Nigel Farage, the more his popularity increases, and they still don't get it.
What's your stance, Peter, on the Online Safety Act? Do you agree with Linda and Paul that we need more sort of stringent rules on what people say online?
We need to protect children. And Nigel Farage is not saying that. What Nigel Farage has been saying fairly consistently is we need a reworking of this online safety bill. We need a different version of it.
We need a tough bill.
We don't need to throw it in the bin, but it needs reworking. It should have had greater minds than it did have actually formulating it and then enacting it.
I mean, the online child sex abuse that happens at the moment is growing so exponentially fast. I think I mentioned it before that if you look back to the guy, Alexander McCartney, the Northern Irish guy that was jailed for life, he had abused 350 girls online across the world, and the only reason the police were actually able to catch him and he was sentenced is because a teenage girl in Virginia committed suicide. Her father committed suicide 18 months later.
Really?
It was too indirect for the courts to take any action. The police reckon that when they got to his home and they found out 3 computer screens running more or less 24 hours a day, they couldn't work out when he slept and when he ate. That's the problem, what we're facing now, and it needs a really, really tough bill. And the government needs to start bringing in a few experts, maybe some young people, who actually understand what's going here, because at the moment the average 12-year-old can probably get round this.
Yeah, we need to protect kids. We need a reworking of this bill.
We also need to bring back capital punishment for disgusting paedophiles like that bloke you just described. Where is he now? What happened to that guy?
Jailed.
He's in prison?
Yeah, life sentence, I think.
Should be hanged.
Yeah.
Right, let's move on. The Sunday Telegraph again. I did tell you there's lots of great stories on the front page of the Sunday Telegraph. Labour opens the door to more low-traffic neighbourhoods in a renewed war on motorists. Linda, you are chomping at the bit on this.
Because every time I used to live in Richmond, actually. I now live in a little town on the river called Marlow. Marlow is 30 miles an hour. Richmond is 20. It is the most aggravating experience. Driving there is like such a battle to keep the needle below 22 miles an hour. And I do not understand what's to be gained from it.
Well, let me read you some colour from this article. So, ministers have quietly ditched reforms which would have curbed council powers to restrict traffic and levy unfair fines and parking charges. So the Tories, who drew up the changes, branded the move a kick in the teeth to motorists and warned it would hit struggling high streets. But Labour ministers dismissed the proposals as speculative suggestions and said they'd have no positive...
How do you expect high streets to survive? These are hubs, they are the centre of our community, they are fundamental to the way we understand ourselves, and you don't allow people to drive into them and park up and buy a coffee and do the shopping. How do you expect them to survive? They won't.
I know.
The motorist is the easiest target for law enforcement, whether that be parking tickets, whether it be road tax, and it's a complete and utter source of revenue to the government and to local councils. If only local councils and the government applied as many officers to catching shoplifters as they do to issuing parking tickets, we might get somewhere in solving the shoplifting epidemic.
Well, it says here in the Telegraph piece, I'm just reading this fresh, it says Sir Keir Starmer has been repeatedly accused of pursuing heavy-handed anti-car policies where Labour holds power, including in London and Wales. In the latest example today, Labour-run Southwark Council, which is South London, has been forced to admit it illegally fined thousands of people for driving in bus lanes.
Yeah, well...
Oh, they're the worst.
You can't mention London and traffic without the wretched Sir Sadiq Khan and his war on the motorist. It's just... it's what the left do. They just love to punish the motorists because, I guess, everything's the motorist's fault.
Can I just draw your attention to the sixth column of this story where it says, Lord Hendy, the Transport Minister, also suggested that the government does not plan to change the current guidance in force on RTNs.
Well, let's hope his voice is heard.
I don't know what this story is, but it looks like something cooked up from speculation rather than actual government policy.
Yeah, OK. Well, let's hope so. I mean, I remember I grew up in Brighton. I had my first job at a newspaper in Brighton, and we were the first city in the UK to have 20-mile-an-hour zones. This was about 15 years ago, I think. And it was all under the guise of the Green Council at the time, who said it's going to be great for the environment. And low emissions, it's going to be so good. Do you know what happens? So many studies have proved it. If you're going in a 20-mile-an-hour zone and forced to drop to second gear, your emissions are much higher than if you're going, say, 30 in third or fourth gear. You know, it's a complete scam. And it's just that you go down Park Lane in London and the taxis are forced to go 20 miles an hour and you're thinking, goodness me, get on with it, down Park Lane. There's no houses down there. It's just insane.
You just need some common sense, don't you? There are times when you do need, speed limits, and there's other times if it's an open road, you don't. I just need you can be a bit smarter about it, surely.
Yeah. Indeed. Although I'm not sure on one to comment, I just finished a speed awareness course online the other day, 3 hours.
How was it?
Oh, it's boring as hell. But I was allowed to do it virtually, which is better than having to go to some hotel.
Yeah, I did mine virtually,
Right, more front pages coming up after the break. First, though, time now for the Great British Giveaway. Your chance to have your mortgage or rent paid for a year, plus £5,000 in tax-free cash in your back pocket to do whatever the hell you want with. Here's all the details you need to win.
We want to send some of those monthly financial stresses packing this August with your chance to be mortgage or rent-free for 12 whole months. We'll give you a cash lump sum that equals 12 of your monthly mortgage or rent payments, right up to an amazing £20,000. We'll also throw in an extra £5,000 on top of that for good measure, because why not? And if you don't have a mortgage or rent to pay, lucky you. We'll give you £15,000 tax-free cash instead. What are you waiting for? Lines will close on the 29th of August. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB15 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 29th of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Welcome back. We're still talking about speed awareness courses. It's such a sexy Saturday night topic. It's getting us all excited. Coming up, we'll have lots more of tomorrow's newspaper front pages, including, can you guess the number of children, school children, suspended from class for carrying weapons? The number's rocketed in the last 2 years. Answers on a postcard, gbnews.com/your say. I'll also be joined by former number 10 advisor Andrew Gilligan. I'll get him on the latest attack by Labour or Nigel Farage. Ben Leo tonight, only on GB News.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters. Real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
It's a really nice idea to get the public involved, and it's our notes, isn't it? So why shouldn't the public have to say on who's on notes? And it's not just people, it's also places and anything particularly British. I mean, I'd like to see Big Ben on some notes, which is a very distinctive element of this country. Big Ben, everybody recognises Big Ben across the world. Being rather popular, so I'd have the Beatles on there. The best band that we've ever had, the best band in the world
for
ever.
heaven's sake, North
Be careful, for you'll upset the viewers. Beatles are fantastic. But you want something like that which recognises the talent that's been in this country. We've had Shakespeare, of course, and we've had Winston Churchill, but let's have something a bit more up to date.
David Attenborough.
A brilliant idea.
Thank you.
Brilliant idea.
No, I've just come up with that, and I thought that was quite good. And then they also encourage ideas, nature, don't they? So I thought maybe some acorns.
Why not a beaver?
A beaver is a great idea, Claire.
Two things.
And a dam.
Two things to mention on this, right? One, you still cannot pass a Scottish note in anywhere in England, and for fear it will not be accepted as legal tender, right?
But can they not? It is legal tender.
Of course
but
it
is legal. Yeah, it is legal tender. Same as an Ulster note.
Yeah.
It's all sterling. It's got the word sterling written on it and whatever. But you do find a certain resistance to.
Huge resistance. And see, the minute they start to hold it up in the air, I'm like, I'm going to get you. Just don't ignite.
When I came back from Aberdeen last time, full of Scottish notes, and I went into shops, I didn't have any resistance, and I was ready for it, though. I was ready for it. I was going to say, well, take it or leave it.
It's legal tender.
It's legal tender.
Yeah, but the other thing is it not the Bank of England that wants to remove the historical characters on the notes? I mean, who actually uses cash? I prefer to use cash.
GB News, the People's Channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Welcome back to Ben Leo Tonight. I'm joined now by Andrew Gilligan, who's a former senior correspondent at the Sunday Times and, of course, Downing Street advisor. He's currently a senior research fellow with the Policy Exchange. Andrew, good evening. Thanks for your company once again. First questions first. Have you ever done a speed awareness course?
Do you know I can't drive? Sorry about that. I've never sat behind the wheel of a moving car, so no is the answer.
Oh, mate, well done to you. Probably more trouble than it's worth. I got, here's another story, on topic. I drove to London yesterday for work, left my car on a single yellow line and was meant to move it into the work car park before I ventured off to Manchester to do the HMO stuff in Bolton. I forgot, and I left my car. I came back today, I've got 2 parking tickets, courtesy of Westminster Council, so that's good.
Outrageous. We're in all a crisis, Ben. You're a sinner of the first order.
I know, Lord forgive me. The reason we're talking about this, of course, viewers, if you've just tuned in, is this story on the front page of the Sunday Telegraph. Labour opens the door to more LTNs, low-traffic neighbourhoods, in a renewed war on motorists, quote-unquote. What's your take on this, Andrew?
I hope we do have new LTNs. I think they're great. I may have even coined the term when I was transport advisor. I think I might have put it.
It was you.
It was me.
Who's the sinner now?
So, GB News viewers can hate me all they like, but all the evidence is they really work and people like them. What usually happens is that there's a big row at the beginning when they go in. Everyone goes, oh, it'll just displace all the traffic around the sides. It does for a bit, but then everyone adjusts. People make fewer local journeys by car, and everyone ends up with fewer cars, which is a good thing.
Can you just explain for viewers who don't know what LTNs are? What do they look like? How are they made up?
What it is, it's basically you get a kind of clump of streets in a neighbourhood, and you close them to through traffic. So you can still drive in and out. You can still drive to any point inside the neighbourhood, but you can't use it as a rat run. and people who've been driving through as a rat run have to go around the edges instead. And look, I mean, look, you know, I tried to make the case to my party in government that actually, you know, every time they campaigned against these things in elections, it never ever worked for them. I remember in the mayor election in 2021, otherwise a pretty good year for the Tories. The mayoral candidate Sean Bailey campaigned against LTNs in various places, and he saw his vote crater in those places, even as it went up in other places. So you know. There's a lot of electoral data on this. These things are not unpopular. They're not vote losers. They get a lot of stick in the media. They get a lot of stick from, kind of tabloid newspapers. But you know what? The media and tabloid newspapers aren't always right about everything, and they don't always represent public's views about things, and certainly not in this case.
Paul, any contributions?
Well, it's just interesting. Andrew's right that these are desperately unpopular at the time. But, you know, a lot of things like seat belts and breathalyzers and all these things that we kind of take for granted now were incredibly contested at the time. And maybe there is a role for, let me be devil's advocate for a minute, you know, bravery in politics, where you do something like this that has a demonstrable impact in a positive way and just, you know, take on the heat at the time in order to get the policy in place. And once it's in place, like seat belts, most people go along with it.
Yeah,
Ben, what is clearly obvious...
Oh, sorry, Andrew. I'll just bring in Peter very quickly, then I'll come back to you. Peter.
Yeah.
What is clearly obvious to this debate, what with your speed awareness course and your 2 parking tickets, is that you are a danger to the motorists and pedestrians alike. Well, young man, you need to be far more careful.
Yeah, I don't want to jinx anything, but I've been driving for nearly 20 years. I've never had an accident, so yeah, let's hope it continues.
Long may that continue.
Andrew, sorry to interrupt you.
No worries. No, look, I mean, look, when I was doing the cycling job in London for Boris, we did this thing called a mini Holland in Walthamstow. Really controversial at the beginning. Boris wanted to go down there to open the first scheme. It's about 2015, and I said, "No way, mate. It's going to be a circus." Not the actual word I used. I went down. There was a massive, great crowd, including, you know, people holding a golden coffin to symbolise the death of Walthamstow village. A year later, nobody even remembered they'd opposed it, and there were lots of new shops opening up because it was just a much nicer place to be. The vast majority of people, at least in cities, don't actually travel by car. They walk, they travel by public transport. I think it's different. I think you need horses for courses. I'm not saying we should do it in, like, you know, Tamworth or somewhere like that, where you've probably got no choice but to drive. But in a city, you've got lots of choices. And at the moment, only a very small number of people actually drive. But they have all the voices and they get all the airtime. Yeah. But it's actually not what the public think.
All right, Andrew, well, I'll tell you what our viewers think. They all say that you would say that about LTNs because you don't drive, by your own admission. So it's...
Right, no. Look, I'm not expecting to be the world's most popular person on Twitter tonight, let me put it like that. I can live with the abuse, but honestly, you get a lot of abuse, it goes away after a year, and everyone forgets they hated it, and it's fine.
Oh, don't I know it, yeah. OK, should we talk about Angela Rayner, who's accused Nigel Farage of failing women over revenge porn? Another attack from Labour on Farage about the Online Safety Act. Are they being a bit naive here, Labour, do you think, from a political point of view?
Yeah, and I think one of the interesting things is about that they're obviously worried about reforms increasing appeal to women, because it used to be, you know, there was a gender gap in reform support. A lot more men than women supported it, higher proportion of men than women, and that's closing. It's still, there is still a gap, but it's smaller, and obviously Labour's starting to panic about that. And they're trying to go reform are like enemies of women here, and I don't think people are going to buy that. I just don't think they're going to buy it. And
Andrew, that's really interesting that the indications are that reform is becoming much more appealing to women, maybe younger women. Why do you think that is?
I think that I think in general, people of both sexes are increasingly disillusioned with mainstream politics, and mainstream politics basically, you know, for its success relies on people thinking like voting reform's too much of a risk. But at the moment, people are so disillusioned, I think, that they might say, well, you know, maybe it is a risk, but it's a risk we might take. I can see also the risk of doing it, by the way. I'm not saying it's not a risk, but I think it might be a risk people are prepared to take.
It's just interesting, though, that it appears to be a growing trend amongst women because, in my experience, I'm kind of politically active, or have been, for the Conservative Party. There has been a tremendous difficulty in recruiting, particularly younger women, into the party. Yeah. What is it? Yeah. Does reform have some kind of extra ingredient that appeals to women that other parties don't have?
So it's still, look, women are still less likely to support reform than men. And indeed, women are still less likely to be right-wing than men. Men are more right-wing than women, which never was the case, actually, in the past. Women are always more right-wing than men. And I think, you know, so, but that is starting to change. I'm not fully sure why, to be honest. I'm not your guy to ask about sort of cephalogical explanations.
Linda, I'm your guy. And Linda, I'm your guy. And I'll tell you what's happening out there. People want a party that is going to allow them to be patriotic, to proudly fly the flag, to proudly speak about Britain, its great achievements, what it is and what is wonderful about this country. And if it's reform that's going to give them that opportunity to be proudly patriotic, that's where people will gravitate to.
So do you think it's women that are more patriotic then?
Women are becoming patriotic in increasing numbers. Yes,
but
they are.
More women are starting to go towards. That seems to be the trend. I'm asking, what is it that appeals to women? It sounds to me like you regard them as patriotic.
For men and women, they want a party that will allow them to be proudly patriotic, so they won't get criticised for being far right. They won't get criticised for we won't have guilt over the, I don't know, the Crusades or whatever it was, slavery and the such like. People want to be patriotic.
Let me just ask Andrew, as you were Rishi's former advisor, is that correct?
Yeah, Rishi and Boris's former advisor, yeah.
What do you think women want from life in Britain these days? What is this assessment that they're being more patriotic? What do you think? What would you advise Rishi? What did you come up with in Downing Street at the time about women particularly, if you did focus on women?
So we sort of thought women did not like some of the kind of yaboo stuff that politics goes in for. They didn't like the chest beating. They didn't like the kind of name calling, which is another reason why I think what Angela Rayner's doing isn't going to work. But I think also they were in general a bit more interested in public services than men. They were bigger users of them. And the other thing about women was that they, on average, are a bit older, because obviously they live longer. And so they were more interested, you know, on average, in issues that affected older people.
OK, interesting. And just finally, Andrew, before I let you go, there's a story breaking in The Sun on Sunday tomorrow. 80 kids a day are being suspended from schools for carrying weapons. That's a massive increase on recent years, I think around 150% up. What's going on there, do you think?
I think what you're getting here is a situation in some parts of the country where kids actually feel they have to carry weapons for their own protection, which is actually a really stupid thing to do, because it's much more likely that you get injured if you use a weapon, that somebody else maybe uses one in return or takes it off you and hurts you with it. But nonetheless, that's what they think. And what was a phenomenon confined to like bits of inner London and bits of the inner cities seems to be spreading a lot more widely, if these figures are right. And I think that's it's a poor commentary on our society. Having said that, at least it appears to be being enforced, which is a rare thing in our society these days. You know, quite often when like serious criminals get away, or people who've done things wrong, criminal or otherwise, get away with it. And I'm hoping these kids who get stuff confiscated, maybe that's the gateway to some kind of sort of intervention that keeps them off the track of getting stabbed later on.
I correct myself. So it was 14,770 children were sent home for carrying weapons in school last year. That's up 12% from 2022 to almost 80 a day. I mean, yeah, just incredible figures. Andrew, thanks very much for your time. Really appreciate it. Former senior correspondent at the Sunday Times and currently a senior research fellow with the Policy Exchange. Andrew Gilligan. See you next week, mate, hopefully. Peter, just on knife carrying, you just think, like most normal people, instant sentences, right?
Deterrence. Yeah. Whether it's shoplifting, whether it's knife carrying, so much crime. We need deterrence, but we have a fundamentally failing criminal justice system from the start of it, policing, all the way through to the end of it, probation.
OK. Right, stay with us on Ben Leo tonight. I'll tell you about the extraordinary number of people who have had their vehicles damaged by potholes. I'd say it will surprise you, but probably not. Back in a tick.
Hello there, welcome to your latest GB News weather forecast. It's remained quite cloudy across some eastern parts today. We'll see similar conditions into Sunday as well. Best of the sunshine across western areas, and high pressure generally dominates our weather pattern at the moment, so it is largely settled, though quite breezy, particularly across southwestern parts of the UK. This evening and overnight, a quiet end to Saturday. Lots of clear spells. There'll be some low cloud drifting back inland across some eastern areas as we head into the early hours. Thick enough for a bit of light rain and drizzle at times, but for most it's quiet. Temperatures generally in the range of 12 to 16 Celsius, so a little lower compared to recent nights. So on Sunday morning, plenty of sunshine across most parts of the UK. They're always cloudier towards the north and the east. So Orkney and Shetland, a cloudy start to the day here, and then generally cloudy across northern parts of Scotland, but the rest of Scotland, plenty of sunshine to start the morning. Lots of sunshine across Northern Ireland as well, though. You can see the cloudiest skies across eastern England, thick enough for some light rain and drizzle. But western parts of England into Wales, lots of sunshine to start the day, and still quite breezy across southwest England, but the wind should hopefully ease here later on in the day. This cloud will be slow to lift and break in places, just like we've seen through the day today. It will generally stay cloudy here, but elsewhere there'll be plenty of sunshine, and the temperatures will again get to the mid to high 20s. Sunshine could be hazy at times, but overall another warm feeling day for many. On Monday, again, a cloudy start, but likely we'll see the cloud extend further eastwards. It should break as the day goes on to allow some bright or sunny spells. The risk of some showers, though, coming into the southwest. Some of these could be thundery at times, but generally dry across Northern Ireland and Scotland, and generally dry for most over the next few days too. That's all from me. See you again soon.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently. It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it? It's explosive. I mean, this is very good. It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial. And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born. It's everything you need to kickstart your evening. Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it. That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Ben Leo Tonight, only on GB News. More front pages have just dropped, starting with The Observer. A picture there of a young lady called Zoe Rogers. She's 21, says The Observer, and she's been in prison for a year, awaiting trial for her part in a Palestine Action raid. I'm going to be trying to get some more detail on this so we can discuss it. I'm not sure exactly what she did. And The Observer says, a terrorist? The Sunday Times, Putin demands land for peace, as we've discussed. Revealed the prison chief who had links to gangsters and left with a payout. Of course they did in Great Britain. And down the bottom here, a story I'm keen to talk about in just a second. Horse racing in the UK will be going on strike next month for a day in protest against Labour's proposed tax hike on bookmakers, raising it from 15% to 21%. The Mail on Sunday, again, sticks with Russia-Ukraine. Zelensky trapped in Trump and Putin vice. It says Ukraine's future as a sovereign nation was hanging in the balance tonight after the summit between Putin and Trump. The Independent, Putin spells out his conditions for ending the war in Ukraine, and a picture there from an anti-racism demonstration outside an asylum hotel in Falkirk. I think they're stand up to racism. I mean, yeah. I think I've said enough about that lot over the past week. Sunday Express, the world's in grave danger if the West caves into Putin. And a picture here on the bottom right, if you're watching on television, of the last Victoria Cross hero from World War II, who's died aged 105. We'll chat about him very shortly. The Sun on Sunday, the BBC have called in cops over Strictly Probe, and just at the top, exclusive, Putin's price of peace, no NATO, no EU for Ukraine. Those are mad Vlad's demands. The Sunday Mirror, Kinnock, time to scrap the two-child benefit cap. He calls for a levy on the top 1% of earners to lift 600,000 children out of poverty. And the Sunday Telegraph, a flurry of great stories. Trump supports Putin's land grab. On the right-hand side, Angela Rayner accuses Nigel Farage of failing women over revenge porn. That's because of his stance on the Online Safety Act. And Labour opens the door to more low-traffic neighbourhoods in a renewed, quote, war on motorists. Welcome back to the panel. Linda Jubilee, Paul Richards, Peter Bleksley. Shall we talk about this Times story? Very interesting. I'm a big fan of horse racing. I used to be... My first ever job as a journalist was as a horse racing journalist. I had a column in my local newspaper. I spoke to all the local Sussex trainers and jockeys.
Lovely.
It was great fun.
You've got Goodwood down your way, haven't you?
We've got Goodwood, we've got Fontwell, which is... Plumpton, yeah.
Beautiful.
Great. Plumpton's a great independent track. But look, the UK horse racing industry is on tenterhooks because the Treasury wants to increase the levy, the tax that bookmakers pay, from 15% to 21%. And now the BHA, the British Horse Racing Association, is saying next month we're going on strike. There'll be no racing for one day at courses including, is it Lingfield, Kempton, and Carlisle, amongst others. So, who wants to go first?
Me, please.
Peter.
Tuesday, I was on a train down to Devon, and the train stopped just outside Newton Abbot railway station. And there I was, getting ready to get off the train, looking at Newton Abbot Racecourse, a course that I haven't been to, but I've made plans with my mate. We're going to have a day out there next year. I love racing. It's a very important industry. It is seared into our very Britishness, whether it be the Grand National, whether it be Royal Ascot, whether it be the Derby, whether it be Cheltenham. All of these things are essentially, quintessentially British and brilliant. Stop raising taxes on the bookies. Give them a break. Leave it at 15%.
What is wrong with this government just taxing anything and everything and everyone?
They haven't got enough revenue to pay for things.
Utterly
that much is
clueless,
obvious.
Devoid of ideas,
How are you
devoid
going
of
to get
inspiration.
defence spending up to 5 or 6%? How are you going to start paying some of the bills we've got to pay unless you start to raise taxes?
You don't get growth in an economy by raising taxes across the board.
I know
That's not how you do it.
I know perfectly well how you get growth into the economy in a conceptual basis. But at the moment, we haven't got growth in the economy. What we need to do, and that is about investing in employment. I'm simply saying that to cover immediate bills, we have to raise some taxes. That is true. Otherwise, we won't be able to afford to do things.
Are you on the left of the Tory party?
I'm absolutely convinced that I'm absolutely convinced that if we want to get defence spending to 5 or 6%, I forget who raised that figure this evening. That's a huge amount. How do you think to do it? Because there's no money tree down the end of the garden.
So you agree with raiding horse racing?
I agree that the tax could be raised.
Oh, you're going to kill the industry. Jim Mullen, who is the chief exec of the Jockey Club, Paul, said the tax rise would cause irreparable damage.
I mean, the British Horse Racing Board and the Jockey Club, of course they're going to say that, aren't they? Nobody wants more taxes. But I was intrigued by Gordon Brown's intervention this week, where he backed a report from the Institute for Public Policy Research saying that you should go after the online gambling industry, particularly the online casinos, because they are rinsing people, fleecing people, making a fortune off people's often misery, doing nothing to help people who have online addiction to gambling. And I think there is I've never met a poor bookmaker, but those guys in particular are making millions of people, and often the people who are the least able to afford it. And I take Peter's point about what a fun day out it is. It is a fun day out. But, the people are just on their phones gambling away and racking up debts. That's not fun. That's an addiction.
I think it's completely different to horse racing.
Very different. Very different. Chalk and cheese.
You can take the kids, you can get a picnic, you can sometimes, at certain tracks, park your car in the middle of the course. The kids get to see the beautiful and godly beasts that are thoroughbred racehorses hurtling over fences and hurdles.
I love it.
It's completely different to punting on roulette on your phone.
Well, that's where the tax should come from, then, isn't it? That's what Gordon Brown was suggesting in his speech this week. And, the Institute for Public Policy Research, which is a think tank, has put together a plan that looks like it could work. So let's look at that.
Yeah, OK. Do you own any racehorses, Peter?
No, I don't. But I just, when you mention the beauty of those creatures, I just itch to get down a track and have races.
Oh, Paul's
so excited I dropped my cup.
Paul's so excited at the thought of taxing every business into oblivion, he's dropped his mug. Oops. Yeah, OK, let's move on. Let's talk about, again, on the Sunday Times, I don't want to keep talking about this, but Labour they've gone for Farage again separately. So we of course, had the Peter Kyle comparison to Jimmy Savile. Then we had the Putin apologist from John Healey. On the front page of The Telegraph tomorrow, we had Angela Rayner saying that Farage is on the side of revenge porn culprits. And now on The Times, at the bottom here, Labour ad, this is a new ad, linking Nigel Farage to Andrew Tate. So Labour would accuse Nigel Farage of supporting the social media influencer Andrew Tate in a new attack advert, and claim that his promise to scrap online safety rules leaves young boys vulnerable to misogyny and radicalisation. Paul?
Well, as I say, if I was behind this, I would say it was a bad idea to do this. And I think I understand the point they're trying to make, but I think it seems like a very blunt instrument. And, the more attention Farage gets, the more popular he becomes. So is there an argument actually to say, just let him stew in his own juice?
I mean, and
get on with changing the country in positive ways that people can see in their neighbourhoods?
Yeah. You know as well as I do that when you're doing media training, the one thing you do is you don't keep amplifying something, whether it's positively or negatively, you don't do it. What the Labour Party is doing now is every time they mention Nigel Farage, even in a negative content, they are actually boosting his profile and helping him inadvertently.
But the strategy is to do that in order to destroy the Tories. That's the point, is to get Kemi completely off the headlines.
And they are searing Nigel's image into the heads, into the psyche of people on a daily basis. And do you know what?
That's my point.
None of this mud sticks. None of it sticks.
But
they're completely wasting their time.
If you can split the right by boosting Farage, that will help, that will help Labour. But that's a strategy. I'm just trying to explain what the thinking is.
I see that it's a strategy, but at the end of the day, I think Labour Party spokesmen, Labour MPs, absolutely have to expunge his name from their vocabulary, otherwise they will continue promoting him.
Well, except that the country is talking about him, so you can't ignore him, can you?
Rattled.
Well, that's
absolutely.
Largely thanks to the Labour Party.
Absolutely rattled to the hilt, Labour, on reform. Right, should we look at the front page of the Sun on Sunday? The BBC have called in cops over Strictly Probe. The BBC's brought police into the Strictly Probe, engulfing the show in its biggest crisis. Speed Boss has alerted police after lawyers began an inquiry into the scandal hit series. Last night, the Met Police said an investigation is in its early stages. Do we care, Peter?
I have the greatest sympathy for any poor detective who's going to get lumbered with this investigation. Righto, Governor, have I got to wear sequins? Really? I mean, what? That is just... No. Can I go and investigate some proper crime, please, Governor?
I went through the list of the participants this year, so I went through the list of these celebrities. Honest to God, I'd not heard of any of them. I think there's one I'd heard of.
Thomas, you must have heard of Thomas.
I hadn't, not until this.
Yeah, no, I had to research it. I didn't really know.
Honest to God, what?
Former Apprentice star, he's a massive social media guy.
Talk about scraping the bottom of the barrel.
Bosh, they're too old.
Yeah.
They're too old, those two.
You're older than us.
Tom's going to have a pint with JD Vance.
Yeah, I know. Well, that's how I know about him now. But I mean, honest to God, what?
Yeah, I don't mind that. I don't mind that. I don't know them.
But we have this till Christmas, don't we? This is months of it.
The BBC do not have a grip of this situation. This isn't the first time they've had some kind of scandal attached to this particular programme. No. And it's not the first time that a scandal hasn't been attached to other programmes. I mean, it's always a mistake as well. You look at, for example, MasterChef. It lost 700,000 viewers when it was put back on air this time round.
Yeah,
because people didn't like what happened with...
They don't want to see those two people on it, do they? With both of them having been exposed for what they are.
No, quite.
Then why do you want to watch it?
What is it? Is it
tone
drugs,
deaf?
Is it drugs, though? Because in this front page, it says probe. Is it into the cocaine?
Well, it's bizarre, isn't it? Because we had the front page on the cocaine a few weeks ago. Now this front page on the Sun talks about a probe. It doesn't mention what it is. So I assume it's to do with the coke
Just to
situation.
watch something else. You know, it's just rubbish.
What's GB News What time's Strictly on? 9 p.m.
Yes. How would I know?
Patrick Christie's tonight.
How would I know?
Tonight at the weekends.
That's true.
Enough with the BBC. Right, back in a tick on Ben Leo tonight. Next is big weekend fails, including my entry with the one Hillary Clinton. Has she been taking her meds? Because she seems to have had a lobotomy. Back in a tick.
I forecast a perfect holiday in the sun.
Weather looking good then?
For sure, and no worries about our travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations forecast.
The exceptional heat across Spain and Portugal is now starting to ease, with temperatures closer to average, but at this time of year that still means it's going to be pretty hot for many places, with a little bit of showery rain pushing through, otherwise lots of sunshine. More showery rain affecting parts of Italy, the high humidity here leading to some thundery downpours, a bit of a breeze affecting Sicily still, and also some blustery winds around the Greek islands. For many, into next week it's looking largely fine.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations forecast.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
GB News Breakfast. Every day from 6 a.m.
In London alone, 80,000 smartphones were stolen just last year. And organised crime groups are also stealing the devices in bulk, with violent robberies at phone shops.
So Mark White, Mark's our Home and Security editor. He's put together this report, and he's been given exclusive access to the flying squad's operation. So let's have a look.
We're on board with these officers from South East London as they prepare to rendezvous with the team from the Met's flying squad. Their target, an organised crime group suspected of involvement in a series of violent robberies. The gang's believed to have struck mobile phone shops in more than a dozen different locations, stuffing holdalls full of high-value smartphones in each raid. This is rare access. The flying squad is the Met's elite robbery and kidnap unit, dealing with some of the country's most hardened criminals.
Please open the door, it's going in!
Inside are the two suspects they're looking for.
We'll come down and speak to him just 2 seconds, all right? You're under arrest for mobile phone shops between March and June 2025.
As a drug sniffer dog arrives to help search the property, other officers find what they think is a small packet of drugs thrown from a bedroom window.
It's quite cocaine.
Well, it's just after 6 a.m. and the two suspects at this address have had a rather rude awakening. Raids are also happening at another dozen addresses around this area.
GB News, the People's Channel.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates, 5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5. You got me. You got me good there. Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show. It's not a bad brand. Yeah. Uncensored. Very, very, very easy tonight on the unpredictable. What does she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
Welcome back to Ben Leo Tonight. Time now for Big Weekend Fails, the part of the show where we all pick a moment from the week which we think was an absolutely epic fail and we discuss it. This is mine.
In fact, did you see that Hillary Clinton yesterday said that if you got this deal done and not capitulate to Putin, that she would nominate you for the Nobel Peace Prize?
If President Trump were the architect of that, I'd nominate him for a Nobel Peace Prize.
Well, that was very nice. I may have to start liking her.
So my big loser of the week is Hillary Clinton. She knows that President Trump is the most popular president in decades, and now she's feeling the heat, I reckon, and lauding him with compliments, saying that she'd nominate him for the Peace Prize if he got a deal between Ukraine and Russia. No one believes it, Hillary. You know, no one believes it. Who's next? Paul, this is yours. Let's take a quick look.
It's embarrassing for me to be up here. You know, I'm going to see Putin. I'm going to Russia on Friday. I don't like being up here talking about how unsafe and how dirty and disgusting this once beautiful capital was.
Why is Trump your fail?
Well, on this one, he's saying that Alaska is part of Russia, but actually, if he gives in to Putin, it may well be.
No, I mean, of course, it did used to be part of Russia. What was the exchange price? What did they buy it for, the States?
Not much, was it?
$7 million.
I think they did quite well out of it.
20 quid or something.
Yeah.
Who's next? Peter, this is yours. Talk us through these pictures.
Yes. OK, well, on the way home from the show last week, I was thinking about David Lammy, right? And, of course, that picture. So there's my posting that I put on X, right? Because I thought, you know what? Whenever these politicians try and do a man of the people kind of gag, they get it wrong. So I spoke to the Environment Agency and Lammy and the Foreign and Commonwealth Office, and as a result, because he didn't have a fishing licence, he's reported himself. He'll get a criminal conviction courtesy of me. Thank you. Boom.
Linda, you've got 10 seconds.
It's Birmingham Council who insisted on taking down the Union flag and the St George's flag, but are too scared to take down the Palestine flags without any kind of protection.
Yeah, surprise, surprise.
Come to Marlow, my town, red, white and blue bunting right across the street.
That's what we'd like to hear.
All summer long.
Thank you, guys. Linda, you are leaving. Thank you for your company. You're being replaced by Leo Kearse on Ben Leo Tonight Late Edition. Peter, you're staying with us. Paul, you're staying as well. Yep. Back in just a tick with Leo Kearse and Ben Leo Tonight Late Edition.
Today's outlook: cool, calm and completely horizontal. Boxed Aircon sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello there, welcome to your latest GB News weather forecast. It's remained quite cloudy across some eastern parts today. We'll see similar conditions into Sunday as well. Best of the sunshine across western areas, and high pressure generally dominates our weather pattern at the moment, so it is largely settled, though quite breezy, particularly across southwestern parts of the UK. This evening and overnight, a quiet end to Saturday. Lots of clear spells. There'll be some low cloud drifting back inland across some eastern areas as we head into the early hours. Thick enough for a bit of light rain and drizzle at times, but for most it's quiet. Temperatures generally in the range of 12 to 16 Celsius, so a little lower compared to recent nights. So on Sunday morning, plenty of sunshine across most parts of the UK. They're always cloudier towards the north and the east. So Orkney and Shetland, a cloudy start to the day here, and then generally cloudy across northern parts of Scotland, but the rest of Scotland, plenty of sunshine to start the morning. Lots of sunshine across Northern Ireland as well, though you can see the cloudier skies across eastern England, thick enough for some light rain and drizzle, but western parts of England into Wales, lots of sunshine to start the day, and still quite breezy across southwest England, but the wind should hopefully ease here later on in the day. This cloud will be slow to lift and break in places, just like we've seen through the day today. It will generally stay cloudy here, but elsewhere there'll be plenty of sunshine, and the temperatures will again get to the mid to high 20s. Sunshine could be hazy at times, but overall another warm feeling day for many. On Monday, again, a cloudy start, but likely we'll see the cloud extend further eastwards. It should break as the day goes on to allow some bright or sunny spells. The risk of some showers, though, coming into the southwest. Some of these could be thundery at times, but generally dry across Northern Ireland and Scotland, and generally dry for most over the next few days too. That's all from me. See you again soon.